hungry as hell, bro.
He was malnourished, for sure.
Marcus Smart is clapping back at Jason Tatum, and it's getting ugly. Right after signing with the Lakers, Marcus knew Celtics fans would come for him.
I have no idea, but I could definitely tell and say that I'm expecting a lot of boos. I'm expecting a lot of hate.
But what he didn't expect was Jason Tatum throwing shade too. Now Marcus is firing back, and the way he dragged Tatum, yeah, it's messy. Let's break it all down. How Marcus Smart betrayed Boston and confronted his former teammates. The summer of 2025 was supposed to be a rebuilding year for many NBA franchises, but nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, could have predicted that Marcus Smart, the heart and soul of the Boston Celtics for nearly a decade, would end up signing with their most bitter rivals, the Los Angeles Lakers. This isn't just any ordinary free agency move, folks. This is the equivalent of a dagger being plunged directly into the hearts of every single Celtics fan who had watched Smart bleed green for 9 unforgettable seasons.
Are you right? Like, what do you do now? Do you root for Marcus, which in turn means you're rooting for the Lakers? Or do you root against the Lakers, which in turn means you're hoping Marcus fails?
Let me paint you a picture of just how devastating this move truly was. Marcus Smart, the 2022 NBA Defensive Player of the Year, signed with the Los Angeles Lakers in July 2025 after reaching a contract buyout with the Washington Wizards. We're talking about a player who embodied everything Boston stood for: grit, determination, that blue-collar work ethic that made him beloved by an entire fan base. And now he's wearing purple and gold, the colors of the franchise that represents everything Boston despises.
And I get a call from my agent saying, hey, Lucas reached out. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. All right. And then another day, same thing, Luka reached out again. And now it's real. It's no longer what ifs. It's real, and it's something we need to talk about.
But before we dive into the absolute chaos that ensued when this news broke, we need to understand just how deep Smart's roots ran in Boston. This wasn't some journeyman player hopping from team to team. Smart was drafted 6th overall by the Celtics in 2014 and played 9 seasons with Boston, making the playoffs every year and reaching the Eastern Conference Finals 5 times. He was there through the rebuild, through the heartbreaking losses, through the championship runs that fell just short. He was the constant, the rock that Celtics fans could always count on to give everything he had on every single possession. The numbers tell the story of a player who was absolutely integral to Boston's success. His 2022 Defensive Player of the Year award, 3 all-defensive first-team selections, and 3 NBA Hustle awards cemented his reputation as a tenacious defender and hustle player. This was a guy who would literally throw his body on the line, diving for loose balls, taking charges, doing all the dirty work that doesn't show up on the stat sheet but wins basketball games. And then came the trade that changed everything. In the summer of 2023, Marcus Smart was traded to the Memphis Grizzlies in a deal that brought Kristaps Porzingis to Boston. The basketball world understood the move from a strategic standpoint. The Celtics needed Porzingis' size and scoring ability to complement their star duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But for the fans, it felt like the organization had ripped out its soul and traded it away. The cruel irony of timing couldn't have been more painful. Smart's move to the Lakers comes amid a challenging offseason for Celtics fans, who have seen key 2024 championship contributors like Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Luke Cornett, and potentially Al Horford depart as Boston manages its finances. The team that Smart helped build, the culture he helped establish, finally reached the mountaintop in 2024. They won the championship that had eluded them for so long. And Marcus Smart, he wasn't there to celebrate with them. The path that led Smart to the Lakers was a winding and unfortunate one. After being traded to Memphis, Smart struggled with injuries, playing only 20 games in his first season with the Grizzlies. The team that had given up significant assets to acquire him quickly realized they had made a mistake. The Marcus Smart they thought they were getting, the Defensive Player of the Year, who could anchor their defense and provide veteran leadership, was hampered by injuries and seemed to have lost a step. Then came the move to Washington, which was essentially a salary dump by Memphis. Smart was traded to the Washington Wizards in February 2024 as part of a multiplayer deal with the Memphis Grizzlies. He played 15 games for the Wizards, averaging limited minutes due to injuries. For a player who had been the emotional leader of championship contending teams, finding himself on a rebuilding franchise that was actively trying to lose games must have been soul-crushing. The Wizards, focused on developing their young players and securing a high draft pick, had no use for a veteran like Smart. The Wizards, focused on rebuilding, granted Smart permission to speak with other teams before finalizing the buyout, making a move inevitable. It was clear that Smart needed to find a new home, somewhere he could contribute to winning basketball again.
When you get a guy like Luka calling, referencing, checking on you, trying to see where you at to see, and that if you want to come and, join something special that he's trying to cook up over here, and for him to say that, to see that he can really use my help, That meant a lot.
But of all the teams in the NBA, of all the potential destinations that could have made sense for a player of Smart's caliber and experience, the Lakers were the one team that would cause maximum pain to Celtics fans everywhere. The Celtics and Lakers share one of the NBA's fiercest rivalries, with Boston holding a slight edge in total championships, 18 to the Lakers' 17. This rivalry isn't just about basketball. It's generational, it's cultural, it's embedded in the DNA of both franchises. The move sits poorly with some Boston fans, simply due to the intense rivalry between the two ball clubs and the razor-thin margin the Celtics now hold over the Lakers in total titles won. When the news broke on that fateful July day in 2025, social media exploded with reactions from heartbroken Celtics fans. Posts on X captured raw emotions, with fans conveying disgust and sadness. One fan perfectly encapsulated the feeling, posting, "Marcus Smart is a Laker being a Celtics fan right now is hell. The pain was visceral, immediate, and overwhelming." Prominent Celtics fan and NBA commentator Bill Simmons expressed his dismay vividly, alongside a meme reflecting the visceral pain of seeing Smart in a Lakers uniform. One passionate Celtics fan perfectly captured this sentiment in a podcast reaction.
We're living in a world where Luka Doncic and Marcus Smart, my favorite players, are playing for my least favorite team. So personally, I feel attacked.
The emotional complexity was perfectly articulated by another fan.
This feels like you broke up with your girl and then you see her out with your brother 2 weeks later, but your brother didn't tell you. That's how this feels.
But perhaps the most telling reaction came from the simple fact that Smart himself knew exactly what he was walking into.
I can try to anticipate it. I have no idea, but I could definitely tell and say that I'm expecting a lot of boos. I'm expecting a lot of hate. And it's okay. I understand it.
Those words spoken during his introductory interview with the Lakers showed that Smart was well aware of the magnitude of his decision. He understood that he was crossing a line that could never be uncrossed, that he was breaking the hearts of fans who had cheered his name for nearly a decade. Confrontations and broken relationships. Now, while Marcus Smart's move to the Lakers was shocking enough on its own, what made this story truly explosive was the underlying tension that had been brewing between Smart and the Celtics franchise player Jason Tatum for years. To understand the full scope of this drama, we need to travel back to November 2021, to a moment that would forever change the dynamics within the Celtics organization and set the stage for everything that followed. Celtics had just blown a 19-point lead in a devastating 128-114 loss to the Chicago Bulls. The team was struggling early in the season with a disappointing 2-5 record, and frustrations were boiling over. But what happened next would send shockwaves through the organization and create a rift that many believe never fully healed. In a move that stunned everyone watching, Marcus Smart decided to air his grievances publicly. After a 128-114 loss to the Chicago Bulls on November 1st, 2021, where the Celtics blew a 19-point lead, Marcus Smart publicly criticized Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown for their lack of ball movement. His words were measured but cutting, and they would reverberate through the basketball world for years to come.
I mean, I would just like to play basketball. Every team knows we're trying to go to Jason and Jaylen. And every team is programmed and studied to stop Jason and Jaylen. I think everybody's talent court is make those guys try to pass the ball. They don't want to pass the ball. And that's something that they're going to learn.
Those words, "they don't want to pass the ball," landed like a bomb in the Celtics locker room. Here was their emotional leader, their defensive anchor, publicly calling out the team's two best players on national television. The implications were staggering. This wasn't some anonymous leak to a reporter or a private conversation that got out. This was Marcus Smart speaking directly to the media, questioning the basketball IQ and decision-making of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. The context made it even more damaging. Smart's comments came after a game where Tatum struggled in the fourth quarter, scoring just 2 points on 1 for 8 shooting, and Brown was scoreless on 2 shots. The Celtics offense had looked stagnant and predictable, with both stars forcing difficult shots instead of finding open teammates. For Jason Tatum, who was emerging as the face of the franchise and carrying enormous expectations on his shoulders, Smart's public criticism was a blindside that he didn't see coming. Months later, during an appearance on JJ Redick's podcast, Tatum would reveal just how much those comments had affected him.
It caught me off guard, for sure. And I think what you have to, I guess, understand, I think with being in the NBA is, especially sometimes after, we had just blown a 18-point lead or something to Chicago. Like, this is beginning of season.
Tatum's response was telling. The fact that he specifically mentioned being caught off guard suggested that there hadn't been any prior conversation between him and Smart about these issues. In professional basketball, where chemistry and trust are everything, having your teammate publicly question your decision-making without any prior discussion was a significant breach of protocol. But the damage control efforts began immediately. Celtics president of basketball operations Brad Stevens addressed the situation, emphasizing the importance of handling such matters privately. Stevens, always the diplomat, tried to minimize the controversy while also establishing clear expectations for how conflicts should be handled going forward. Stevens confirmed that Smart spoke with Tatum and Brown the day after the incident to discuss the comments. He noted seeing Smart and Tatum eating breakfast together and talking about solutions, indicating an effort to resolve the issue internally. On the surface, it appeared that the situation had been resolved. The players had talked it out, they were moving forward, and the team could focus on basketball again. But those close to the situation knew that the seeds of discord had been planted. While Smart, Tatum, and Brown maintained a professional relationship on the court, there were subtle signs that all was not well beneath the surface. The natural chemistry that had been developing between Tatum and Smart seemed forced at times. The easy camaraderie that had defined their relationship in Smart's early years was replaced by something more calculated and guarded. The 2021-22 season would ultimately be a success for the Celtics as they reached the NBA Finals before falling to the Golden State Warriors. The Celtics' performance improved significantly during the 2021-22 season as they reached the NBA Finals, showcasing strong on-court chemistry between Smart and Tatum. Smart's role as a facilitator was evident, and the statistical connection between him and Tatum seemed strong on paper. However, those who watched closely could see the subtle differences in their interactions. Where once there had been spontaneous chemistry and natural flow, now there seemed to be a more mechanical approach to their partnership. Smart's role as a facilitator was evident in the 2021-22 season, where he dished out 310 assists, 96 to Tatum alone, contributing to 226 points directly from those assists. Publicly, both players said all the right things. Tatum, ever the professional, praised Smart's basketball IQ and veteran leadership. Tatum praised Smart's high basketball IQ and passing ability, calling him his favorite person to play with in a March 2023 interview with ESPN's Doris Burke. But even in his praise, there was something that felt rehearsed, something that suggested he was saying what he was supposed to say rather than speaking from the heart. The reality was that the November 2021 incident had fundamentally changed the dynamic between Smart and the Celtics' young stars. While they could still function effectively as teammates, the easy trust and open communication that had characterized their early relationship had been damaged. Smart, who had always been the emotional leader and vocal presence in the locker room, now had to navigate a more complex relationship with players who had grown into franchise cornerstones. Looking back at the criticism itself, there were valid basketball points embedded in Smart's frustration. The Celtics' offense appeared stagnant, relying heavily on Tatum and Brown to create shots rather than involving other teammates. Smart, a veteran point guard known for his defensive tenacity and emotional leadership, expressed frustration that the team's stars were not passing enough to counter defensive strategies designed to neutralize them. But the manner in which he chose to express these concerns publicly immediately after a frustrating loss without any apparent prior discussion with the players involved suggested a deeper frustration that went beyond just basketball strategy. Smart, who had been with the organization longer than either Tatum or Brown, was watching the team's hierarchy shift around him. He was no longer the unquestioned leader. Instead, he was increasingly being viewed as a supporting player to the team's emerging stars. This shift in dynamics was perfectly captured in one telling statistic that would later become symbolic of the tension. At the time of Smart's public criticism, he was averaging 8.8 points and 4 assists while shooting just 29%. Meanwhile, Tatum was establishing himself as a legitimate all-NBA player, and Brown was emerging as a consistent second option. The hierarchy was clear, and Smart's public comments seemed to be as much about his own frustration with his changing role as they were about team ball movement. The aftermath of the incident also revealed interesting perspectives from different corners of the basketball world. Some analysts and former players defended Smart's right to speak his mind as a veteran leader. Others criticized his approach, arguing that such issues should always be handled internally. Media coverage amplified the event, with some outlets labeling it as a sign of a dysfunctional locker room. But perhaps the most telling aspect of the entire situation was how it would inform every interaction between Smart and Tatum going forward. Even as they continued to play together, even as they achieved success on the court, there was always an underlying tension that suggested their relationship had been fundamentally altered by that November evening in 2021. what this means for championships, rivalries, and legacy. Beyond the emotional drama and fan reactions lies the most crucial question. What does Marcus Smart's arrival actually mean for the Lakers' championship aspirations, the broader Western Conference landscape, and the future of one of the NBA's most storied rivalries? The basketball implications of this signing extend far beyond the $11 million price tag, potentially reshaping the trajectory of multiple franchises and setting the stage for some of the most compelling storylines in recent NBA history. Let's start with what Smart brings to a Lakers team that desperately needed his specific skill set. Smart, a three-time All-Defensive First-Team honoree and the 2022 NBA Defensive Player of the Year, is expected to address the Lakers' need for a point-of-attack defender. This isn't just about adding another body to the rotation. It's about filling a glaring hole that has plagued the Lakers for years. The basketball analysis from Lakers insider Mike Trudell perfectly captured Smart's defensive value.
Yeah. So, like, he's still on the I think he's either 30 or 31. And he, like, the type of player that he is, as you referred to, is exactly what the Lakers would want. Somebody that you can play next to Luka or next to Austin, or even with both of them, since he can defend up. Like, Smart is a strong guy.
Right.
He can defend, he can switch, he can hang in there on bigs.
The fit alongside the Lakers' star players is particularly intriguing, with LeBron James entering his 23rd NBA season and Luka Doncic establishing himself as the franchise centerpiece. Smart provides something neither can offer: elite defensive intensity combined with veteran leadership that comes from 108 career playoff games. His experience from 9 consecutive playoff appearances with the Boston Celtics and his reputation as a mentor during his Washington stint will be valuable for a team aiming to compete in the Western Conference. Smart himself expressed confidence in the team's potential.
We stack right up there with the best of them, and I think our ceiling is high. I think there's no ceiling.
But Smart's impact goes beyond individual statistics. His role as a tenacious defender and pest, bringing intensity, leadership, and basketball IQ, addresses cultural needs that championship teams require. The Lakers haven't had a player with Smart's defensive pedigree and emotional leadership since their championship run in 2020. JJ Redick's past analysis of Smart's impact was particularly insightful.
He's a guy that just makes winning plays consistently.
The offensive integration presents both opportunities and challenges. Smart is a complementary player known for his playmaking, 4.6 assists per game career average, and hustle, but has limitations. His career shooting percentages, 38.8% from the field and 32.4% from three-point range, raise legitimate concerns about spacing in an offense that will heavily feature Doncic, who thrives with shooters around him. However, Smart's basketball IQ and understanding of his role could mitigate these concerns. His low shot volume, under 6,000 career attempts in 11 seasons, and awareness of his limitations suggest he won't overburden the offense. He's expected to serve as a secondary ball handler, likely off the bench initially, behind starters Doncic and Austin Reeves. The roster construction implications are equally fascinating. The Lakers' signing of Smart has sparked speculation about further roster moves, particularly involving Gabe Vincent's $11.5 million expiring contract. With Doncic and Reeves expected to play heavy minutes, Vincent's role could diminish, making him a trade candidate for additional roster improvements. The strategic thinking behind the Lakers' summer moves was explained by analyst Jovan Buha, who noted that Smart represents the DFS replacement spiritually in terms of being a strong communicator and a defensive culture setter, similar to how Dorian Finney-Smith impacted winning without flashy statistics. The Western Conference implications cannot be understated. Smart believes the Lakers can compete with top Western Conference teams like the Thunder, Nuggets, and Rockets. His defensive versatility and playoff experience could be crucial in a competitive conference where margins for error are razor thin. But perhaps the most compelling aspect of this signing is how it reshapes the Lakers-Celtics rivalry for years to come. The prospect of Smart playing in the twice-annual Celtics-Lakers matchups adds extra juice to the rivalry, with fans anticipating a hostile reception when he returns to TD Garden. The historical context makes this even more significant. Smart joins an exclusive list of just 42 players who have played for both the Celtics and Lakers, but he's unique in that he's still potentially in his prime and could make a meaningful impact on championship aspirations. The health factor remains the biggest wild card in this equation. Smart's recent injury history is concerning. He played only 54 games over the past 2 seasons, including missing time due to a right index finger injury. At 31, his durability is questionable, and the Lakers' championship hopes may hinge on his ability to stay healthy during crucial stretches. Smart's own motivation level seems high, as he expressed,
To be honest, I'm itching. I'm like the dog that you got the treat dangling in him, and you got him on the leash, and he's just like, just let me go, just let me go. Like I said, I'm a competitor, and I love playing basketball.
The championship timeline considerations are crucial. LeBron James entering his 23rd NBA season, and Doncic eligible for a 4-year, $222 million extension starting August 2nd, 2025, are the cornerstones of a win-now roster. Smart's 2-year deal aligns perfectly with this championship window, though the player option in his contract gives him flexibility for 2026 free agency. From a tactical standpoint, Smart's versatility gives coach J.J. Redick multiple options. Under Redick, the Lakers aim to balance offensive firepower with defensive versatility, and Smart's addition gives them a defensive-minded guard to deploy against elite Western Conference backcourts. The psychological impact shouldn't be underestimated either. Having a player of Smart's defensive reputation and championship experience can elevate an entire team's defensive intensity and commitment. His presence alone might make teammates more accountable on that end of the floor, creating a ripple effect that extends far beyond his individual contributions. Looking at the broader NBA landscape, Smart's signing represents the continuing trend of veteran players chasing championships in the twilight of their careers. At 31, Smart is at an age where his next contract might be his last significant payday, making this Lakers opportunity both a chance for legacy-defining success and financial security. The ultimate question remains, can this Lakers team, with Smart as a crucial defensive piece, compete for a championship? The Western Conference features powerhouse teams like Oklahoma City, Denver, and an improved Houston squad with Kevin Durant. Smart's addition might not elevate the Lakers to title favorite status, but it certainly closes the gap and gives them a legitimate chance to make noise in the playoffs. What's certain is that Marcus Smart's decision to join the Lakers has created one of the most compelling storylines in recent NBA history. Whether he helps deliver a championship to Los Angeles or becomes another cautionary tale about aging veterans chasing rings, his impact on the league extends far beyond basketball statistics. He's added fuel to the greatest rivalry in NBA history, given hope to Lakers fans, broken hearts in Boston, and set the stage for what promises to be one of the most emotionally charged seasons in recent memory. Like this video? Click on the card showing on your screen for more.